Our story.
Yes, what exactly is your story? Well, really, I think it's a perfectly simple question. Honestly, why did you come here?
Welcome back, everyone. Congratulations, you made it. The Marvel drought is over. We finally have brand new Marvel content after a year with no movies. This will be my Wandavision episode 1 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. We're also doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite WTF moment on the video. But careful for spoilers, if you haven't seen the episode yet, I'm going to number these a little bit differently just because there's so much stuff happening in the first couple of episodes as they're sort of realizing what's actually going on in this alternate reality. They didn't give any special titles to the first couple of episodes, it's just episode 1 and episode 2, so I'm assuming it's going to be similar for the rest of the episodes. But they start with a new version of the Marvel Studios logo that incorporates all the newer movie footage all the way through Avengers Endgame and some of the Disney Plus series that are going on. You also begin the episode, the opening scene, in their fictional alternate reality as if it's the intro to this 1950s looking TV show. Obviously, because it's the 1950s, most of their references are I Love Lucy and a little bit of Bewitched. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to tell which specific shows they're parodying based on some of the scenes. But all the intro songs, starting with this one, are different for the different decades of different sitcoms, so they're all kind of made to feel like they would have been theme songs for TV shows written in these different decades. But because this is Disney, they have the hookup, they got the people that wrote the music for the Frozen movies to do the theme songs for the different episodes. They're moving into Westview, which is a reference to West Coast Avengers. There's also obviously a lot of visual references of what's going on in the neighborhood too, but they're driving into the suburbs basically to start their new life together because they're supposed to be newlyweds. Their address on the street here, 2800, is also a reference to Avengers issue number 280, where Jarvis came back to the Avengers after almost having died at the hands of one of the villains in an earlier issue. Vision just died during Avengers Infinity War and was created from parts of Jarvis. The problem you start to notice through the episode, though, is that there's all these inconsistencies, and they even reference writing their story as they go along. Because Scarlet Witch is literally writing their story as she goes along. So they move into their new house, and she kind of magics it up like, oh, it's sold, it's ours now, it belongs to us. He tries to do that traditional thing of carrying the bride through the threshold, but because he's Vision, he phases through the door. That's also another callback to Captain America Civil War, because Scarlet Witch kept telling him not to do that. Vision, we talked about this, you're not supposed to do that. She references their powers. I can fly. You're super strong. You're an android. They make a joke about him not eating food because he's an android. They actually reference that a couple times during the first couple of episodes, and her wanting to cook him this giant breakfast. How would you feel about that? Well, I wouldn't feel anything because I'm not going to eat it. We get that opening scene that they dropped a little while ago. I already did a video for this. It's all about the comedy of them not remembering what their special date is, the heart on the calendar, but we find out what was actually really going on. If you look at the date on the calendar too, it's August 23rd, 2023, because this is all happening after Avengers Endgame, even though it all looks like it's happening in a 1950s television show. My assumption when we first saw this scene is that it was actually just a reference to them having sex for the first time, which is what she thinks for the first half of the episode. So obviously this is a big sitcom trope of the husband and wife getting themselves into this hilarious situation with the dinner party. You notice the laugh track, a lot of the tropes of classic sitcoms of that era, or really sitcoms all the way up through the 90s. There'll be a laugh track, I'm sure, in some of the other subsequent episodes. But they said that they try to be as period specific when they were actually making these episodes, so they used really old-timey cameras, black and white cameras of the decade, to film these particular black and white episodes. They had a live studio audience. I'm sure those people had to sign NDAs and their firstborn children away to Marvel in order to get in that audience. You also notice a lot of Easter eggs for I Love Lucy. She looks at the camera, breaking the fourth wall, like Lucille Ball did during that TV show. It's also a clever way of referencing that she's one of the few people that actually knows that she's inside a fake reality. She's inside an actual TV show, but it's not real. Deadpool would be proud, breaking that fourth wall. We meet Catherine Hahn's nosy neighbor character who's calling herself Agnes, but I think that's a fake name. I think she's really meant to be a version of Agatha Harkness from the comics, who's another sorceress, just like Doctor Strange, who helps Scarlet Witch at various times. She's kind of been a mentor to Scarlet Witch. But you notice through a lot of the different scenes, it seems like she knows more than she's letting on, the references that she makes with some of her dialogue. So it also seems like she knows that this reality isn't actually real. You start to notice some of the inconsistencies, though, and Scarlet Witch kind of starts to flip out a little bit, only a little bit during this episode, but it starts to get worse and worse and worse as reality around her starts to crack just a little bit, like things aren't quite right. She skirts the fact about not having a moving company because she literally just moved in and used her powers to make the house theirs and create all this furniture. She tries to cover for the fact that there's no rings on her finger. She doesn't know what their anniversary date is or how long they've been together. It feels like we've been together for forever. It's all because she's literally creating a lot of this on the fly as she goes. We find out that inside this reality, Vision works at a company called Computational Services, which is obviously a reference to him being an android, but also sort of an old-timey version of IBM. They make a couple of jokes about him not knowing what they do at their company, despite the fact that he's doing it very quickly. Well, we don't really know what's going on here, but you just made things go 300% faster. You're almost like a computer. You're like a machine. I think one of the reasons why Vision doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't realize that this is a fake reality yet. Like, he knows who he is, he knows he's an Avenger, he knows about his powers, but it seems like he's missing some really critical information about this fictional reality because it's Scarlet Witch bringing him back to life inside this reality. We meet his boss, Mr. Hart, which I think is kind of a reference to Vision in Scarlet Witch's heart. Like, this is all about Scarlet Witch's perspective. The show Wandavision, the whole title of the show, Wandavision, is literally a reference to Wanda's vision because it's her experiencing all this. It's from her perspective. But the title's also a reference to Scarlet Witch and Vision together, like Wanda and Vision, but also the nature of their TV-based reality, Wandavision, like you're watching Wandavision. So you start to see some of the Legion aspects of it. If you never watched the Legion TV show on FX, that was an X-Men based TV show, but they got really trippy with perspective. You weren't quite sure what was real and what was fake at various times. And the Legion character had some powers that were similar to Scarlet Witch's reality warping powers that she seems like she has inside this reality, being able to change anything about the reality around him as he saw fit. They have all those funny moments about Scarlet Witch trying to seduce Vision because this is supposed to be their night to get it on. The way they progress through the episode with their relationship status, the fact that they're slowly trying to have children through the episodes, the children get older, it's all meant to be very serialized, but the way they're playing it in this episode is like it's happening for the very first time. Then they have that first really funny commercial, but there's some really funny stuff going on in this in the background. If you notice, it's meant to be very meta and kind of commentary about the nature of this fake reality. So obviously it's meant to be a big Iron Man Easter egg because the Toastmate 2000 is made by Stark Industries. So the toaster itself has that red blinking light on it, the warning light that seems like it turns into an alarm, and the woman in the advertisement starts to freak out a little bit when it goes off. The toaster itself is a reference to Vision himself because Vision is property of Stark Industries. He was created from Jarvis, which was created by Tony Stark. He owns the Jarvis Code. And he was created from Ultron, who was also created from Stark Industries parts. So if you really want to get technical, Iron Man also owned Ultron, and Ultron created Vision with part of Jarvis in him. So technically, Iron Man owns Vision, even though he probably doesn't see it that way. Probably sees him more as like this lost child. Then Vision arrives with the boss, and they have that funny moment with Scarlet Witch in her negligee just surprising him, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? We have to throw a dinner party? They make a couple Sokovia references, her being European, then they make some Cold War Russia jokes to the Soviets because this is 1950s Cold War era. Some of the references that Agnes makes are Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame references. She talks about cooking dinner, it'll be a snap, referencing the snap from Avengers Infinity War, Thanos snapping the Infinity Gauntlet, the Hulk and then Iron Man snapping their Infinity Gauntlets. But the look on her face when she says snap also makes it sound like she knows about Scarlet Witch's powers to literally snap her fingers and create things around her and change them at will. So I think it's just another clever reference to her showing her hand, revealing that she knows what's going on with this fake reality, which I think is another Agatha Harkness reference. They have a bunch of jokes about Scarlet Witch cooking the chicken too much with her powers, burning it, and then devolving it into eggs, showing you just how powerful she is in this reality, and then just throwing everything all over the place with her telekinesis. They also pay off the lobster joke at the end of the episode too, when it winds up on the front of their door. There's the very obvious House of M wine bottle Easter egg that we've been talking about for a couple of months. Maison du Mépris in French means House of Contempt, but it's also House of M from the comics. Very important Scarlet Witch storyline where she creates a fictional reality for herself, because the WandaVision show is basically like the MCU's version of House of M, where at the end of that she says no more mutants and gets rid of 98% of all mutants around the world, But I think a lot of us are expecting a reverse version of that during this series where she creates a lot of MCU mutants, or at least makes it possible for them to exist in the main MCU reality in Marvel Phase 4. Then Mrs. Hart sort of sets things off, asking all the wrong questions, and you get that really dark scene. It actually goes super dark and turns into more of a Twilight Zone type of scene. Where did you come from? When did you get married? Why don't you have any children? She also tells her husband, Mr. Hart, to just chill out, let them wait. They're setting up their story, which is also a reference to Scarlet Witch literally setting up their story because they don't really have a story. They were only together very briefly before Vision was killed. So she has to come up with their backstory on the fly so that they can fit into this fictional reality. Like she says later in episodes, this is meant to be our home. I want us to fit in. When he starts banging on the table and choking, and they sort of zoom in with the camera, it also seems kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock film, almost like it's going into a horror scene. This is also one of the times you see her break this reality on purpose for the first time when she tells Vision, help him, and use your powers, basically. There's a little more of this that happens in episode 2 that I'll talk about in my episode 2 video, but then they decide to make tonight their anniversary. They make rings for each other, announce that they're married. Congratulations, we're married. Then Vision uses the remote control to literally turn off the episode, like it sort of fades out after he hits the button. The funny thing about this too is that they made a bunch of press kits for this, and in it they had a TV guide cover with them on it, and all the buttons on the remote control are made to be Infinity Stones, the Mind Stone. There are also a lot of Mind Stone references later in the episodes too. When you zoom out and transition to real life in the control room, it looks like a TV control room of Banks watching this fake reality, watching it like it's a show happening that you could actually watch on TV. I think because this pad in front of here that the person is writing on implies that this is the SWORD agents watching her inside this reality, just monitoring what's actually going on, as if it's a live TV feed. It's a little hard to tell, but I feel like this is going to be a big Easter egg, this person here. I think this is going to be the Darcy character from the Thor movies played by Kat Dennings, because she's an important character, but she was barely in any of the trailers. It would actually be pretty funny if they made her be the one to actually watch this all playing out and just monitor Scarlet Witch just to see what's happening minute to minute. I also think that Catherine Hahn's character is a big part of making what's happening here actually go on, because she seems like she knows so much about what's happening inside this alternate reality. Think about it this way, the way that she's in the credits, Catherine Hahn is the next most important character on the show after Vision and Scarlet Witch. Why would she be so important to all the episodes of the series if she weren't part of helping make this fictional reality work? Then we had to talk a little bit about the ending credits too. They feel like more traditional TV show credits that you would expect from a modern show because they're doing the old-timey stuff at the beginnings of all the episodes. The credits fade into the TV pixels, red, blue, green, like a traditional TV, almost like it's a whole alternate reality building itself out, like you see all the different aspects of it as if it's inside a computer, but it's really inside a TV screen. You see Vision being built, you see their home being built, then it flies apart, it breaks apart, everything spins up into their rings. Then all the while this is happening, it starts glitching out just a little bit, like you've seen during all the trailers, just referencing the reality starting to crack, the seams starting to show, just like in the House of M comics. But again, this first episode, which is meant to reference the fictional reality, you're not meant to completely break it till a little bit later. We don't start to see the SWORD references to episode 2. So what'll happen is I'll post my episode 2 video later tonight. It's actually a pretty short episode. There were actually a few reasons why the first couple of episodes were so short, mostly because sitcoms of that era were about this length. They were very, very short. But also, they want to blow through the timeline through the black and white episodes as quickly as possible, just because it's super weird and they don't want people to think the entire show is going to be like this. I did see a lot of people in my timeline kind of confused about what was going on. Don't worry, it will become more clear as more things around them start to break the reality and the SWORD agents start to break in more and more. But if you spotted any really big Avengers or Marvel Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 2 video should be up in a couple hours as well. What'll happen is I'll update the link at the end of this video to my Wandavision episode 2 video, but until then, this will point to my Marvel Captain America Returns video, and you can also click here for that brand new Black Panther 2 teaser. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.